6 years old. Itachi finally started at the academy. It wasn't that he was particularly overjoyed about school itself. It was that school held for him a concrete sense of achievement, the feeling that he was getting closer to his long-awaited goal of being a ninja. School would be completely different from the way he had trained in secret by himself or with Shisui. The days at school were the path to ninjahood, and that made him indescribably happy. Now then, please introduce yourself and tell everyone your dream for the future, the older male teacher said, looking out at his students. Their first class. The slightly nervous students looked at each other confused. Itachi watched as the others chatted. Hey, what are we doing now? Still unfamiliar with one another. And then he thought, as if he were not a part of the situation himself, that it was no wonder they were confused. They couldn't just get up in front of all these unknown people and spill out their dreams. All right then, maybe we'll go by student number, the teacher said loudly, rolling over the murmurs from all corners of the room, perhaps understanding how his students felt, perhaps not. Uchiha Itachi. The first character of his name was U. That was toward the beginning of the student numbers. He didn't worry about what he would say. He had had the same dream ever since he could remember. All he had to do was say it. All right, very well done. The nth classmate was applauded. Her dream was to be a great ninja like her father. Be a great ninja like her father. He imagined his own father. Fugaku was great, but Itachi felt like it wasn't enough for him to be the head of the military police force. Which didn't mean he was rejecting his father. He did want to excel like his father did, but the place Itachi had his eyes set on was beyond that, and he couldn't say that his father was currently standing there. All right then, next, Uchiha Itachi. The teacher looked at Itachi and smiled. With the thought that there wasn't much point in a self-introduction if their teacher said their names first, as he had been the whole time, Itachi stood up and walked to the front of the class. The other students, the same age as he was, turned interested eyes on him, and he felt a faint itching on his forehead. He patted the space between his eyebrows with a finger and then thrust his chest out. I'm Uchiha Itachi. My dream is, he faltered. The teacher and the students cocked their heads almost as if to ask what was wrong. It wasn't that he didn't have a dream. It wasn't that he was having trouble choosing the dream he was going to talk about. And naturally, his mouth hadn't stopped working because he was nervous or anything of the sort. He wasn't sure if he should actually talk about his dream in this place. The dreams of people before him had shared were all so modest. I want to be like my father. I want to be a great ninja and do a lot of missions. I want to be a cute ninja. This was the sort of dream the teacher and his classmates expected. Itachi's dream was different. My dream It's all right. Go ahead and say it, the teacher urged him. It doesn't matter what they think. I want to be the greatest ninja ever. Great enough that I can erase all fighting from this world. He heard someone laugh in a corner of the classroom, and then immediately after that came the pre-established harmony of applause. Well done, the teacher said and patted Itachi's head. Apparently, it was just too absurd. No one believed him. They all thought it was a dream that could never come true, a delusional dream that came from a young child's ignorance of the world. That's what they all thought, so they laughed at him. They clapped mechanically. Only one of them, only Itachi, was serious. His teacher and classmates would learn just how serious later. Oh, his classmates sat in a row, dumbstruck. Even the teacher, a little ways off taking notes, forgot to call on the next student in his disbelief. The class was basically a test to see how many of the 20 human figures set up all over the schoolyard a student could hit with a kunai in a short period of time. Each student took a turn individually. His classmates before him had all run around the schoolyard at top speed, managing to complete the task in just over 5 minutes, panting all the while. Before the class started, they had shown the location of the human figures. All of them were in annoying places like the top of the tallest tree or behind a half-open window on the 3rd floor. So everyone raced around frantically and managed to do it in an average of 5 minutes. Itachi had done it in 30 seconds. And all his kunai hit the figures precisely in the head or the chest, in almost exactly the same place each time. The slight differences were only due to the differences in how much of the figure was actually exposed. His kunai had all hit with almost flawless accuracy. We know where the figures are, and all of them can be reached from the schoolyard. The students before Itachi finished the test, limited by these factors. His study of them and the plan he crafted in response were impeccable. From the starting point in the center of the schoolyard, Itachi drew a line in his mind to split the range into 4, then further roughly divide up all the areas of concentration of these targets before he categorized the ones he could reach from the starting point and ones he would need to move to hit. There were 12, and that required him to move. He then sorted the targets that required movement and calculated a trajectory that would allow him to go around with the most efficiency. As the teacher gave the start signal, Itachi launched the 8 kunai he held in both hands at 8 human figures simultaneously. That didn't even take 2 seconds. From there, he started running, tracing out the route he had pictured in his head, and made a swift tour of the yard. 30 seconds. Itachi felt like it almost took too long. Shisui could have done it faster. Well done. All right, next up, the teacher said, sweat rolling down his forehead. Without responding, Itachi returned to his place among the excited students. His performance had been so incredible that no one could say a word directly to him. They circled him from a distance and whispered to each other. Unaware of this reaction, Itachi reflected on the results of the trial he had just completed. Before his eyes, the next student was racing frantically around the yard. I could shave another 5 seconds off. He found a place where he could correct the trajectory of his run and felt ashamed of his immaturity. Uchiha Itachi, the teacher called, and Itachi stood up and proceeded to the front of the classroom. Here you are. You did very well. A large circle was drawn around the score 100 at the top of the page he was handed. You're the only one to get a perfect score on the test. Hearing this, his classmates gasped in surprise. Itachi bowed slightly to the teacher and then returned directly to his seat. 3 months since he started school, and he still had not had anything resembling a conversation with any of his classmates. They naturally hesitated in the face of the outstanding grades he got in each and every one of their classes. All of them had ever so timidly spoken to him once, but Itachi's responses were always so concise and definite that none of them wanted to try to speak to him again. He was not going to school to make friends though, so he was fine with that. The larger dissatisfaction for Itachi was how he felt like it was never enough, no matter how excellent his grades were. The limit for grades was 100%. It was impossible to get anything more than that, but he felt like it was unproductive. Can I really learn the true nature of a ninja in a place like this? School grades and actual ability were not the same thing. That's what he felt, which was why he was always dissatisfied. Itachi was truly concerned about the fact that being number one at school was not directly connected to his own dream of being a great ninja. Make sure and show this test to your parents, his teacher instructed, and Itachi carefully folded in half the page with the 100 on it. A voice said suddenly, and he looked back slowly. In the hallway after school, all around him were boys waiting for friends to go play with, and girls chatting and squealing with the laughter. Filled with a sense of liberation at their release from the formalities of lessons, they were excessively energetic. You're Uchiha Itachi, right? The girl said, looking at him with upturned eyes. Her brown hair reached down to her shoulders, and she had both arms crossed in front of her chest. The eyes below thin eyebrows were almond-shaped and bright, while at the same time having a mysterious charm that made him feel bittersweet somehow. I am also a member of the Uchiha clan. You are? He returned curtly. It wasn't just with this girl. Itachi always had this attitude at school. Most people would crumble at this point in the conversation, and then they would never try to step into his space again. My name is Uchiha Izumi. I'm in the class next door. So? Shisui had the day off today for the first time in a while, so once school was over, they were supposed to train together. He didn't have the time to dawdle here like this now. We take the same way home, huh? There's only one Uchiha compound. Of course we take the same way. Uh, um, the girl said, hanging her head. Maybe we could, Sorry, I'm in a hurry. Itachi turned his back to her and started racing down the hallway. So how's school? Shisui asked, wiping away the sweat on his forehead with a towel. Itachi jerked his shoulders up and down and exhaled heavily. They were talking at the park in the center of the compound after running about for 4 hours. And not just running at top speed. They ran for 4 hours, maintaining their top speed the entire time. Anyone not diligent with their ninja training wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. Shisui looked slightly cooler than Itachi felt, and the younger boy glared slightly as he opened his mouth. It's way better for me to train with you. But you've gotten pretty good at talking since you started at the academy. I haven't changed. I guess you have always been pretty mouthy. Shisui laughed and patted a hand on Itachi's head. I guess there's no one in your class who can take you on? Itachi said nothing. Is there? Shisui asked, surprised. Itachi shook his head from side to side, his friend's hand still pressing down on it. I don't know what kind of grades everyone else gets, but as far as I can tell from watching them in the schoolyard, there's no one amazing or anything. So you're only looking at yourself? Itachi felt like that might be exactly it. He couldn't see his classmates. What should he do? How could he become the best ninja? That's all he had thought about since he was a little kid. He had no energy to spare on anyone else. There's no one more amazing than you at school. I'll tell you that right now. Shisui's hand tousled Itachi's hair. Quit it. He pushed the hand away. As long as we have you, the future of the Uchihas is secure, Shisui said, laughing, but his smile was a little sad somehow. Listening to Sasuke breathing softly in his sleep beside him, Itachi laid down on his futon. It had been just over a year since they moved to the new compound, and he had gotten very used to the look of the ceiling above his bed. Beyond the bedroom where the 2 children slept was the family's dinner table where Fugaku and Mikoto were sitting. Itachi's grades are amazing, He heard his mother's voice from the other side of the closed sliding doors. She apparently thought the children were already asleep. Without trying to listen, Itachi stared absently at the ceiling. He's my son after all. I suppose so. His father was praising him, and his mother was happy about it. There was nothing to feel bad about. How is he at school? His father asked. What do you mean? Look at these excellent grades. I'm not talking about that, his father said, cutting his mother off. Does he have any friends? He doesn't really talk about his friends. That boy doesn't know how to take it easy. That's not such a bad thing. But he goes too far. It's like he's rushing, like he's hurrying to become a full-fledged ninja. Dad sees right through me. The slightest heat colored Itachi's face. The way He's so earnest about ninjahood. Sometimes I feel like I should take lessons from him, even though I'm his father. But a thread stretched too taut is fragile. I'm worried he needs to let loose somehow. He's a gentle boy. You just have to watch Itachi cuddling Sasuke to know that. He'll be fine. And lately, he really looks up to Shisui as a brave brother. They train together. They're quite close. Shisui of the body flicker, Itachi was also aware that Shisui had been drawing attention as a ninja lately, garnering the nickname Body Flicker. It's all well and good to have an older friend too, but it would be nice if he could talk with friends his own age and learn at least a little of what fun feels like. I'm sure he will. A friend the same age. The face of the girl who spoke to him suddenly after school floated up in the back of his mind. Uchiha Izumi. Murmuring the girl's name, Itachi quietly closed his eyes.